I am sure sports. You know me there, from coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get your sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me no know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crapper players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment. Let me know what your thoughts are.
Yes. Good afternoon. Welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I am Omar Stene. So delighted that you are getting ready to join us for one more episode of the big show, the growing show. And today we are going to discuss the Olympics, Jamaica's performance in particular at the Olympics. Though the games are still going on, for the most part, Jamaica is finished in terms of competing. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We have our special analyst who is going to join us today. He's Pioneer. And if you remember well, Pioneer got so many of the predictions right in the videos that he did. And listen, if you have not watched those videos, please check them out. They're on I Am Sure Sports. They're on our channel on the YouTube platform. So please make sure you check them out and listen to his prediction, his analysis, and as he shares his expert opinion on so many athletes, not just Jamaican athletes, but concerning so many athletes that performed at the Olympics. And so check that out. So we're going to be talking with Pioneer. You're free to join. And if you have questions and comments, also please don't hesitate to ask them. We try our best to engage our subscribers. But, want to thank all the persons who have subscribed to the channel. We are nearing 700 subscribers now. So we appreciate you taking the time to subscribe to the channel. Don't stop. Keep them going. Yeah, man. Keep them going. Tell somebody about the channel. We want to hit 1,000 subscribers, and with your help, that is possible. All right. So if you have not yet subscribed, once you come on, 2 things we ask: that you subscribe to the channel, and also please make sure you hit the like button. Hit the like button. Yeah, man. Hit the like button. Come on, hit the like button so we can know you like what is happening. You have to watch the video as well, Don't just scan through, don't just skim over it. But take some time and watch the video. Send us your feedback and your thoughts so we can know, what you're out there saying. But let me invite Pioneer. Pioneer, how you doing? Good afternoon, man.
Yeah, man. Blessings, man. Blessed love, my brethren. As usual, it's always good to be on I Am Sure Sports.
Yeah, man. So good to have you as well. I mean, good time. We want the time to be extended in terms of the Olympics, but all good things, they say,
must come to an end, my brother.
Must come to an end. But I will admit that it was a very, I would say short, because it seemed shorter than usual, but a very exciting Olympic in terms of track and field, in particular for our Jamaican athletes. So what are your thoughts on the Olympics, in particular looking at Jamaica's performance, and then you can also give me your views on the overall performance as we zoom into track and field in particular, because there are so many other sports that we will not discuss, but track and field in particular. What are your thoughts?
All right, from a broad overview of just track and field, without looking at just merely Jamaican interest, I must say it was a very, very, very good Olympics. Track and field at its highest quality. There were some very outstanding performances. There were some mind-blowing performances. A lot of persons had concerns after Usain Bolt left the sport that the sport might have been, badly affected or maybe on the decline or, probably relapsing somewhat. I must say this Olympics, following on the departure of Usain Bolt in 2016, has basically brought track and field to another level. Over a wide range of sports, we have seen athletes rising above and beyond expectations. So all in all, I would say it was a very, very, very good Olympic Games, very good track and field program. And looking forward to, the rest of the track and field season. Very interestingly also is that because of the delay with the Olympics this year, we are going to be having 4 consistent years of major track and field tournaments or track and field events happening. Next year, 2022, we'll have the delayed World Championships that was supposed to happen in 2021. Then 2023 we'll go back to the regular schedule of the World Championships again. And then 2024, we have the Paris Olympics in 24. And then 2025, again, we'll have another World Championship. So track and field is ascending right now. And I can say it has started with this Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I think one of the things I'm thinking about is just how the short span in terms of the next international global event, which is next year, really gives some of these athletes who have been disappointed an opportunity to rebound quickly. In other words, they don't have to wait 4 years once they can stay, or 2 years.
Or in 2 years, yeah.
Right. Once they can stay in shape, they get the opportunity to rebound after the season. Like they have less than, because it is in the World Championships are in what month? In the summer as well.
Summer.
Right. So it's really less than a year you have. So when you finish your season, most athletes finish the season in September of this year, September or October, the latest. And so that gives you like 8 months or so to prepare for your next major, or 7 months to prepare for your next championship, which I think is a good thing, because all of those athletes, because I'm very sure that many are even the Americans who have been disappointed with their performances, maybe looking at the World Championship next year, which will be staged in their favorite track of all time, the track at Eugene, Oregon, or out there in Portland, because I think it is America's favorite track in terms of their athletes, in terms of the times that they do. And they may be saying, listen, we failed miserably at the Olympics because this was a very low medal output for America.
Unusually low.
Unusually low.
Yeah,
especially on the male side. I think they had very few medals on the male side in the track. I think only 1 gold.
The 4x4 100-meter relays.
Yeah.
Can you imagine America only winning their lone gold medal on the track in the last event at the Olympics?
In a relay, not even an individual event.
No individual.
So
and I think only Ryan Krause, the shot put.
Right.
One individual male
medal,
gold medal.
And And the other thing is that so many records were taken, and except for the same shot putter, no American took any other record.
On the
Oh
female
no,
side,
right. On the
yeah,
female side, yes. The 400-meter hurdles champion. She won in record time.
Sydney
Sarah,
McLaughlin. Sydney McLaughlin.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. So, very, very interesting, very interesting, very interesting. But how do you compare this Olympic with what what you have seen? You made mention that so many of the Olympics before. I remember, I think was the last one, the Beijing Olympics. In fact, the ticket prices were so high because of Usain Bolt, and they had the stadium could hold, I understand, close to 100.
I think you're talking about London though. The London price is escalated because of
No man, I'm talking about Beijing, because Beijing had for Usain Bolt in Beijing, the amount of persons who wanted tickets. Maybe it happened in London, but I remember the whole story in Beijing was that the amount of tickets that they wanted, the stadium only could hold. So there were millions and millions of people who wanted to. But the same thing happened in London, but it happened in Beijing. But I know the same thing happened in London.
I can tell you specifically for Beijing, for London.
Yeah.
The tickets for the 100-meter, men's 100-meter final. There were 80,000 tickets that went on sale. There were 1.1 million bids for those tickets.
Right.
When the tickets were made available, they sold out in 55 minutes.
Yeah.
Online. So there was a great demand. And I must say, unlike for the previous 3 Olympics, when you could almost have called those Usain Bolt Olympics, where Bolt was the overwhelming draw that people were looking forward to. I mean, there are events in this Olympics and the track and field program that people were looking forward to more than others. But I think the talent in terms of athletes, there was no focus on one athlete. I think it spread wide. People were looking at the 400 hurdles with the Warholm and Rai Benjamin duel. People were looking at the woman on the 400-meter hurdles on the women's side also with the Sydney McLaughlin and Delia Mohammed duel. People were looking at the 100-meter with the Shelley and Fraser Price and the Ilian Thompson duel. So there was like a wider, the interest spread far and wider than just Bolt as it was in the last.
You know what I'm thinking though? This Olympic is setting the stage for the World Championship. In other words, I think like Rai Benjamin, for example, I don't believe he will probably get the record, but I think he will want to go at Warlow. I think Delia Mohammed will want to go back at Sydney. If Stephanie Ann McPherson, if she gets back into condition because she had a hamstring injury that affected her in that final, I think like she has something that she wants to prove. I think Shelley and Fraser Price, having lost the 100 meters, this may be her last shebang. Maybe, so I think this Olympic, one thing it has done is kind of set the stage for a highly competitive and marketable World Championships in the United States next year.
The appetite of track and field fans have been whet. Next year, the World Championship is going to be really, really hot. Just like you just said, I'm expecting this McLaughlin, Dalila Mohammed duel to go on for another at least 2 to 3 years. Shelley and Fraser Price, as you just mentioned, is the defending world champion. She doesn't have to qualify from our national trials next year. She has automatic qualification to the World Championship. She has said that she's looking forward to performing in the United States. She wants to bring her family, her son and her husband, to watch her perform maybe for the last time on the world stage. I'm sure she would want to go out, guns blazing, as they would say. The Rai Benjamin Warholm duel, I think, will be one that we'll be seeing for a while. Both men are pretty young. They're not, they're not up in age by any stretch. So we'll see in that duel if they both stay healthy. There are some other duels that are I'm thinking about people like Gabby Thomas. who is ascending in the 200 meters, who would want to be
Shakari Richardson.
let's not overlook Shakari Richardson, who will want to redeem herself for not going to the Olympics this time. Let me interject a little thing, man. The Eugene Diamond League starts. It will happen on the 21st of August. The first Diamond League after the Olympics. Shaka Richardson is booked in both the 1 and 200 meters. But there are some. I was looking at the start list, and the start list hasn't been completed yet. There's a few events have entries for a few of the events. One of the events that I've observed is the 400 meter men, flat 400 meter men. Warholm is booked for the flat 400 meter man. I'm very much interested to see what running 45.94 over hurdles. I'm very much interested to see what he can do on the flat floor. I was saying to somebody earlier today, I didn't see Benjamin because there was just a note that says Warholm is booked for the flat floor. I would love to see Benjamin in the flat four. He split 43 in the 4x4, closing out for Team USA in the 4x4 just today in the Olympics. I'd love to see a foot race between those two gentlemen over 400 meters to include the likes of also Stephen Gardner, Olympic champion, Norman, Michael Cherry, Kirani James. That is gonna make an interesting race on the Eugene Diamond League. I'm hoping they get a good feel. The Warholm is included. I'm hoping Benjamin will be included, and I'm hoping they put a good feel around these two gentlemen. Let's see them race some of these flat 400 contenders and see how they match up against them. Huh?
Yeah, without going too far, I mean, because we want to do a post-mortem on this, but what I'll say is that I don't think, especially the Olympians, like Elaine, though she's probably going to go at the Eugene and Shellyan, I don't expect to see any great show by them because of the amount of races that they have on their legs. I don't think they're going there to prove. It would not surprise me if Shakara Richardson wins and they run very slow times. I think that's the thing. But one of the things I am looking forward to is who will be the other three ladies who will be joining Shelly and Fraser Price on the Jamaica, because now we get three other persons from the trials to join Shelly. So I go, and this is for the World Championship. Elaine, Sharika, and then is it going to be Brianna or like a Kemba Nelson? You know, who gets that third spot to make up that team? You know,
the Jamaican trials, the 100-meter ladies for the Jamaican trials next year will be hot again. Elaine will have to qualify. Sharika Jackson will have to try and qualify. The field will be just as hot as it was this year. We'll have people like Brianna Williams, who for me I'm tipping Brianna Williams to run fast next year. I looked at her in the 4x1 100-meter earlier. She was out of the block like a gun, like a bullet from a gun. She ran a very, very, very good leg. She was leading the pack. You could see that she was, extending distance and
she was doing it on the curve.
And she was doing it on the curve. She's still young, still 19 years old. Will coming into her own next year. I'm picking her along with Elaine and Sharika as the persons to make the team. But as you said, there are other ladies who are gonna be thirsty for a bit of the glory also. People like Kemba Walker, you mentioned, people like Ashanti Moore, some of the youngsters coming up. Some of the more seasoned vets like Shaloni Calvert, Natalia Whites, the Kemba Nelsons as a youngster coming up.
Janelle Smith should be back because she was injured.
Janelle Smith should be back. So the 100-meter for women on the Jamaican side will be a hot ticket.
Yeah, what will be interesting as well is now that Hansa Parchment and Levy has medaled in the 100 meters. Omar McLeod. What will American Grant Holloway? Now you're gonna have Hansa Parchment. Hopefully, if they qualify, Omar McLeod, Ronald Levy, and the young college guy Thomas is his name. Damian Thomas,
Damian
right,
Thomas.
who was
Yeah.
a part of it. I think even that race is going to be competitive because we have we don't have no qualifiers. It is just 3 persons,
No
and I think
automatic
no
qualifiers.
automatic. And I think
And
Omar
there are
McLeod,
that is
yeah,
gonna be the most. We just spoke about the women's 100 meter, but I think the 110 hurdles at our trials next year will be the most stacked field.
yeah,
We had the three that made it: Omar McLeod, Rashid Broadbell. We have all of the youngsters that are
right.
coming
Because
up.
Rashid Broadbell was injured. I
Was
think
injured.
people forget that he was having some of the better times heading into this. You
Um,
have Orlando Bennett
Ireland.
who
This is a
who was
stock.
at
This is
the
a stock
yeah,
stock field. Next year, the 110 hurdles at the Jamaican trials is gonna be like an Olympic final or a World Championship final.
And
I
then
can tell
then
you.
you have the 100-meter hurdles where Megan Tapper have had a taste of glory with her bronze
Yes.
medal on a high note, but Brittany Anderson probably feels that what I did
12:40.
12.40, you're right. So I'm right in the thick of things. Daniel Williams, um,
Daniel Williams might be coming back.
there you go.
August,
And
August well. It's almost like we're at the end of a season, or at the end of a champ. Because it's not really the end of the season, but at the end of a championship, we are already forecasting the trials for next year. That is how intriguing what is happening in track and field now has left us as fans, holding on to looking forward to. And I say it's gonna get even more interesting knowing that the next 4 years are 4 years of major championships.
yeah. All right, but let's look at some of the events. I mean, let's focus on the Olympics. What are the standout events from a Jamaican performance for you? Which event stands out to you the most and why? Or which athlete stands out to you the most and why? Yeah, man. Much respect, Stickman, in the house. Bless up, bless up, bless up, bless up. Good to have you. Yeah,
All
man.
right. Obviously, there's Ilian. It's obvious. Ilian Thompson. 3 events, 3 national records, 1 Olympic record. 1061. Some persons thought that we would never see those times again. In the 100 meter for women. And I found it very interesting that at the end of the race she said she has more to offer. 21:53 for me, out of this world performance. That for me, I think I find the 21:53 even more impressive than the 1061. So Ilian stands out. Hansa Parchment as our next gold medal winner. Coming back from injury. Pipping who we considered an overwhelming favorite, an athlete that we thought was out of class. Mind you, not an earth-shattering or mind-blowing time by any stretch of the imagination, but just sheer what you call craftsmanship in his race strategy, just putting together a series of good races, sizing up Grant Holloway over 2 rounds, and then pipping him in the finals. I think that is as good as it gets for a person running in track and field. I mean, somebody being an overwhelming favorite and the Ilka Grant Holloway. I personally had Grant Holloway winning, possibly breaking the world record, and for Hansel to have come up big and beating him in the final, I think that is an outstanding performance also. I'm gonna skip over Megan Tapper for me also, winning what we'd consider an unlikely medal. I had picked her to win the bronze medal. She came up big and won the bronze medal. But I'm gonna look at some performances that weren't medal winning, but performances that I consider quite outstanding too. Jennifer Russell in the 400 hurdles for ladies. That 4th place finish, running a personal best. I consider it a gutsy performance. I think that will whet her appetite also going forward. I think she'll be looking to join those 3 big ladies. I'm hoping this is motivation for her to know that, listen, I'm bordering and breaking. I'm going under 53 now. When you enter 52, then you're entering the big leagues. And going after and contending with Sydney McLaughlin, Dalia Mohammed, and Femke Ball. She was outstanding. Christopher Taylor making the 400 meters final, running a personal best and running in the finals and getting sixth, running under 45 seconds again in the finals. I must say, hats off to Christopher Taylor. Outstanding performance from a Jamaican perspective again. Candice McLeod, whilst not medaling again, fifth in the 400 meter. You could call her a late bloomer in this event, a late starter to track and field, making the finals, coming up good in the finals also, running under 50 seconds. I consider that a creditable performance and want to be mentioned. Looking forward to more from her with her contending. I have never seen an athlete not medal and have such a sense of gratitude and appreciation for what she placed. She was just beaming, and I'm talking about in the individual event now. And when she got the bronze medal in the 4x4, she was so overjoyed that I was saying that, listen, here's a young lady who I'm picking to do well going forward. So she was another outstanding performance from a Jamaican perspective. Disappointing we were with Tajay Gill getting injured and not medaling in the long jump. But his performance to qualify for the finals was nursing that injury for me was probably what I would call the heroic performance of the Olympics from a Jamaican standpoint. For me, that was big. Not our goal. While some might say she was disappointing in the finals, just the way she ran her way into that finals. So whilst I can say the finals itself was a disappointing showing, but the way she ran the first two rounds in getting in that finals, I got well for her. As a matter of fact, she's one also that is now booked for the Eugene Diamond League for a rematch with Athingmo. But I'll give her credit for the way how she ran her first two rounds and advanced for the final. Other performances that I would consider performance that are merit. The 4x1 men in the first round, the heats. That came as a surprise. I didn't have them as making that finals. They ran a decent race, had a few errors in the passes, but qualified at the fastest time. I consider that to be also creditable. I think that covers it for me from a Jamaican standpoint. Stephanie and McPherson, we had expected what she did. We had expected a medal from her. So that was more of a disappointment than an outstanding performance.
Well, I mean, I agree with most of what you said. What I'd add to that is Jahil Hyde, who
Jahil Hyde, how could I overlook that?
Coming into the national championships or the national trials, not many people even thought he would have made the Olympic qualifying times. I don't know if you remember that because he was coming off this injury. So to make the time, win there, and go to the Olympics, and I believe that if he had not hit the hurdle, he would have made it to the finals. No, he would not have I don't think he would not have medaled, but I think it would be a good accomplishment. But I was delighted to see him though. Still, after that, and the disappointment of not making the finals, to give those two, because he run in the semifinals or the first round of the 4x4, and he came back and put in a good performance in the finals. That I think we could have done better if we had arranged the team differently. But I am not there in Tokyo. But I think he did well, and I am happy that I am seeing a few of the athletes that stood out at champs kind of making a mark at the Olympic, because over the years, what I've realized with the Jamaica track team is that a lot of the athletes that are excelling at the international level, they never had the most stellar champs career.
Especially on the male side.
Especially on the male side. Who knew about Ronald Levy in high school and Hansa Parchment in high school? These are names. Tajay Gale. You look at the names that you don't hear these names, right?
There weren't some of them performed at champs, but weren't big stars, weren't big stars.
Yeah.
Stars.
Yeah, you're right, and like I said, it's good to see Jail Hyde, who he was a standout at Wolmer's Boys, and a Chris Taylor, who so
Yeah.
many Jamaicans really believed, especially that year before his last year, that he should have gone pro, and
Yes.
it was some issue that they said with some teacher at the school that kind of affected his career and stuff. But many people thought that that champion he ran down Akeem Bluefield in the four by four relays at
Yeah. Yeah.
champs. A lot of people, I think he did a 43 split um,
Mm-hmm.
in that at boys champs and stuff. So that is one of the things that I'm happy to see. I also really I feel personal hurt for Stephanie Ann because I know the kind of work that she has put in. I hope that she doesn't give up. And I think one of the reasons why Sharika Jackson ran the 4x4 was because of Stephanie and McPherson. It's
Absence. Yes.
yeah, I almost feel well, not just her right, well, her absent, but I feel like maybe if someone else was absent, she probably would have opted out.
Well,
Like
you feel like they needed that senior presence in it, that
I
experience.
feel like they're from the same camp,
Yes.
and
Yes. Yes.
I know Stephanie, and she probably not just the hamstring injury. All right, I think just the fact that the expectations were so high,
Weight,
even in
the
her
weight of
own mind.
expectation.
Yeah, that when you go back to the village and you're crying, and a Sharika comes along you, she said, "No, no, no, man, I have to do this for my girl. I have to go out there and represent for Stephanie."
For you. Yeah.
Right, and I think that is why, because she said it. I mean, she had no leg speed, like everything was gone. So the only reason why, because Sharika said, "Listen, I am not a 400 meet. I'm a sprinter now."
Wait and now, yeah.
Right?
I found that interesting.
Those, those were her words. So this is saying that I don't plan to run no more 400. But I felt like she did it for Stephanie, and I don't know how people deal with their medals. If she probably said, "Listen, I have a bronze already. I did this for you. Here's a bronze. Because here's a bronze." Because the thing is that Sherry can never run in the heats, so she can't get a medal.
You mean Stephanie?
Yeah, she can't get a
No,
medal. So, but
no,
I
there's no
wonder if
medal, no.
I wonder if Sherika will say, "Hey, this is for you. This
Um,
medal
if
is
it,
for you."
I want to go back a little. I'm going to touch on Stephanie and I want to go back to Chris Taylor and Jail Hyde. I think what happened with both of these gentlemen in this Olympics, they're still pretty young. Chris Taylor is younger, obviously, but Jail Hyde is still a pretty young man. I'm expecting this to whet their appetite, and I got to go and keep on using that term for some of our athletes because sometimes that is what it takes. Just that taste of success or a limited taste of success. I think Hyde will look back at that race, knowing that he needed to be at least stronger because he was putting in 110%, and I think it was just running out of energy that caused him to hit that hurdle. He was going at a pace that was almost unusual for him. If he had continued hurdling well, he was on par to break 48 seconds, which is going in realms that he has never been before. He was going to possibly win that heat that he was in and qualify for the final. I think this will whet his appetite to know that, listen, I can do this. I can contend with these big boys. I might not be able to run 45.94 like Warhome, but I can run low 47s. I just need to be disciplined, put in the work. He has seen what being disciplined and putting in the work has taken him. It has taken him to a PB. It has taken him to the Olympic semifinals and the cusp of qualifying for the finals. As you could say, of clearing a few hurdles more to qualify for the finals. I think this will whet his appetite going forward for the next 4 championship years that we are talking about. I think Christopher Taylor spoke of it in his interview that he's looking forward to getting better. He spoke to his exploits as a champs athlete and coming out of that phase of his career and now coming into the professional phase of his career, crediting his coach and his overseas camp that he's now at. Looking forward to probably expanding his races to include the 200 meters. So I think that this Olympics and their performance will argue well for these two gentlemen. To Stephanie and McPherson, though, it's bitterly disappointing for her. She is not a young athlete. I think she's 31 now. having the
32,
best season of her life.
32.
32, having the best season of her life, running times that taking 50 seconds for fun, you could almost say. Running 49, 20, 34 in the semifinals. Look, slowing down, surprising herself, not knowing she was going that fast. I think she was looking forward to definitely medaling in this Olympics. I think what happened to Stephanie, though, I could probably identify 3 athletes that the same thing happened. Bull, the same thing happened to Bull. I think Stephanie, my virgin, I have a friend who was telling me that there's a thin line between ambition and between being ambitious and being over ambitious. And he's saying one could lead to great success and one could lead to grave disaster. I think Stephanie got a little over ambitious in the finals. She went with China with Mila Weibo, and I think that affected her race. And I think that probably even contributed to her injured hamstring. She went out hard, tried to back off, realized that she was being pulled when she was at 250.
I think
Tried to
that was the
back off.
point when no man. I think that was the point when because we thought she was backing off, but that was the time she felt the strain.
Hamstring.
Right, because
Possibly.
because when I heard that, no, I say, you know what? It looked like she would have been able to carry the momentum all the way to the line. No, she may not have defeated Shani, but she could have got second. Right, but because
silver medal. The silver medal was running. It was won in 49-20, and she had looked good for 49-34 in the semifinals.
She looked good up to 300 meters, like 320 meters.
250 meters, I'd say.
Yeah, and so I think it was at that time she felt because once you have a hamstring, strain, like you can push yourself to run with it, but the more you run, is the slower you get. Like there's no getting,
and it's the more damage that you're doing to your
the more damage you're doing, but you're not going to feel the real damage until you stop, because while you're going with it, you can go. But adrenaline cures pain sometimes, or sometimes mask pain, I should say. So I think if she sustained that injury, I looked at it, I didn't realize that was when she sustained the injury. Right.
I know kind of pointing that out to me. I had looked at the race as her realizing that she was being pulled at 250, backed her, and tried to kick again at the 150 mark, and obviously. I think that for me it was in the second kick. This is how I was analyzing it. In the second kick, she had sustained that injury. You might be right that she had gotten injured at that 250 mark. Totally disappointing for her. I'm hoping that she can recover from her injury. I doubt we'll see her again this season. Yeah. I'm hoping that it's not as severe as it probably at the worst end of severity, and we could see her again next year. Having maybe a final hurrah at the World Championship. Or maybe she probably can, at her age, she probably could try and hold out for the next Olympics.
I think she can go to the next 2 World Championships because they're one after the other.
We have a very good crop of 400 women coming through, though. Some of them went to.
Stacey and Williams. Tiffany James, who never even. I think.
Jonelle Bloomfield.
Bloomfield, right?
Cherokee Young.
Yeah.
It is looking good for the women's 400 meter. I'm hoping that these ladies can transcend from just the 50-second range that a lot of them ran this year and start going under 50 seconds. It should make it good for us. I would love us to have a pool of 5 or 6 ladies doing sub 50. You know?
Yeah.
So we have a broad pool to choose from. And we can start contending with the US again in the 4x400 meter relays.
But really, I think we are their closest rival. I know the Polish team, because the Polish team is a very good team, because they did also well in the mixed relays with a couple of these female. So they cannot be, and they normally produce, some of these European nations normally produce good. There was a time when the Russians and the Germans used to produce good 4x4 teams. So we must not underestimate their quality. But
you'll find the Poland though, man. They might not have a top contender. whether on the male or the female side. But what they'll have a pool of 5 or 6
Good. There you go.
solid ones. So you'll have them having 5 ladies running low to mid to low 50 seconds. And they'll have some men running 45 or one man breaking 45. And they will use them in their relays. They will make the semifinals of the individual events, but they will have very good relay teams. I think where we kind of blundered to, I think we could have gone for maybe a couple more for big names, our mixed relay. I'm sure that in hindsight now, some of those athletes might be looking back and thinking that they could have contested the mixed relays, giving themselves and Jamaica a better chance to medal. I don't believe in leaving medals on the table. I think a medal is a medal, in whatever event. So I think going forward, I've seen where Shanae Miller-Weber, who is now the Olympic champion, even though she didn't do it this year in this Olympics, and Stephen Gardner, who is the Olympic champion in the 400 meter. I've seen in 2019 they ran the mixed relays for the Bahamas. So I think we can look at including some of our better athletes in the mixed relays, giving ourselves a better chance. I think the only reason why we might not have had Shanae and Stephen Gardner contesting the mixed relays this year is that the Bahamas probably felt that because Shanae was going to be doubling in the 2 and the 4, that would mean that she couldn't contest the mixed relays, and without her, they probably didn't have a chance. So Stephen Gardner probably thought it best not to even, put the miles on his legs. But I think some of our athletes not being top contenders in the flat events should consider the mixed relays going forward.
Yeah, I think they'll do that at the world relays. But let me say this, because a lot of persons are disappointed with the men, especially on the sprinting side. I will say this. The truth is that even during the Usain Bolt time, coming to the back end of Usain Bolt, it was really Bolt that was carrying the flag. And to a lesser extent, Ewan Blake. It was like there was, because Nestor Carter had gotten a suspension, and Michael Freighter, Asafa Powell wasn't really medaling though he was there, but we had a good, we have a good group of sprinters. What I will say is that though there is some disappointment, what I want to see going ahead, because that is gone. We have a young civil. I think he's one that we need to that needs to be worked on. I know he's in with Glenn Mills, so I suspect that he's going to get better because of just how good Glenn Mills is. Yeah, man.
For me, don't want it.
Hold on, no, man. I'll soon finish up. Dre, any weather. London is still blue. Well, it can't be blue right now because it's what now? It is, what time in London? 3 a.m. 3 a.m. It's actually kind of...
should be black right now.
You understand me? Kind of darker blue like mine still. With the sun probably trying to creep out with a little red up here. So red up here, you understand me? So check out what is going on, Dre, in the weather. But greetings, bro. Yeah, man. Greetings, yeah. But what I'll say is this, though. There was a youngster that I was very impressed with at the national trials. And he was at champs and he came into the national trials, wasn't big on the scene except for the year before. Brian Lovell is an Edwin Allen
athlete. Still a youngster, still in high school.
He's one that could make that world championship team. Also, I don't know what is happening to Sachin Dennis, but every time it comes to the national trials, something seems to go wrong. I hope that he can stay in good health for the work, because I think that guy has a lot of potential. If we have Seville, Sachin Dennis, and this Lovell guy, I know there's people tell me about Javan Mattison, but he's also injury prone. But I think even a Christopher Taylor should probably consider, like next year, do the 200 and not the 4. And then the following year, he goes back to the 4 to see which one he would do at the Olympics the following year in 2023. So that's what I'll do. I'd focus on one event for one.
In 2024, yeah, man. Right, so, that's an interesting prospect you just put forward.
to see what should I do in 2023. Let me just focus on the 200 for this year, focus on the 400. If I can manage both, I'll do. If not, which one do I stand the best opportunity of medaling in? That's how I do it if I were his handler. Because I still believe he's a better. Because, all right, Demish Gay, and we spoke about this. Demish Gay don't have leg speed. He's like Rashid, what's his name? Rashid
McDonald.
Chris Akeem Bloomfield and Chris Taylor they have legs. They sprint. They do the 400 like sprinting.
Yeah, they sprint the 400. You said they sprint the 400.
Right, in phases. So they sprint in phases. Yeah. With a Rashid and it's just farm or whatever.
High kneelist.
High kneelist. All right. So I think because of that, and that is why Bloomfield does the 200 and has one of the best times as a Jamaican in the 200. He has gone under 20 before. Mm-hmm. And so I think Chris Taylor should try that.
All right. I want to go back to something you said earlier about the Bolt era and the latter part of the Bolt career. All right. That will be true for about 2016 and 17. I mean, maybe as late 15, 16. But there was a time during Bolt era that we had a plethora of sprinters, like a whole bunch of them coming through. There was Bailey Cole. There was Julian Ford. There was Minzy. As a matter of fact, Minzy made the Olympic team in 2016. There was Minzy. There was
Taekwondo Tracy.
Well, skiing didn't evolve to the national level. There was O'Shane Bailey. There's one name that I'm still trying. There was
there's Weir.
Ashmead.
Ashmead. There was Weir as well. Nesta
Weir was a 200 meter runner, but we had a lot of runners coming through. Somewhere that didn't last more than maybe a span of about 2 to 3 years, and everybody fell off. After 2016, we are not seeing anybody coming through.
There are two books I always tell people about. Two books. One is called Talent Code, and the next one is called Outliers. All right. Some people, they say that they're kind of measuring how people get successful. And one of the things is that when you're born is important. Like if you're the 4th fastest man in Jamaica or the 5th fastest man in Jamaica in Usain Bolt, Asafa Powell time and Nesta Carter time, you probably go, your career probably going to flop.
Yeah, man.
Which is what you understand me? There's like to be a 400 meter runner, a female in the USA right now. Because you said it would not be like the best. Like you understand me? It's almost like this is not the best time to be born if you're not going to be the number one. Because there are so many, which is what happened in Usain Bolt's time. There was Usain Bolt, Asafa Powell, and Ewan Blake. It was hard for you to break past those three.
But a lot of those persons got you. We had people. I remember 2013 World Championship final. We had 4. We had Bolt who had qualified automatically. We had Bailey Cole and Ashmead in the finals. I think we ran 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th. We had 4 gentlemen who ran on our radio team that was in the finals. 2015 we had it was Bolt and Asafa. I think Ashmead had made a team, but he didn't qualify for the finals. But Bailey Cole has been a disappointment for me. Ashmead hasn't come through. I don't think he came halfway up the ladder and went back down. And right now it seems like he's on his way down and out. So you mentioned a crop of youngsters that are the crop of youngsters coming through now. It is my hope that we'll see people like some of the youngsters that have been on the periphery for a little while. Nigel Ellis. I want to see those youngsters coming through. You spoke to the youngster. What's the youngster that Anchor they really know?
Civil.
Civil. We want to see people like Michael O'Hara, those persons that we haven't seen in a while. We saw Wilson from Calabar, who as well was at the national championship, but never did well. It's time for us to start seeing some of those youngsters. And I think what is missing, Mannings, is the hunger. I think the hunger and the desire is what is missing. I think a lot of these youngsters get contracts fresh out of high school, and I think that somewhat they use that to kind of blunt their growth in terms of.
I kind of differ a little bit. I think one of the things that happens, I think our male athletes are more overworked at the high school level than our female athletes, and so it's almost like their bodies takes. They like the body need to go on a 2-year break for them to recover. Like I think Chris Taylor like struggles with injuries because he did so much work in his junior years at Calabar. I'm wondering if that is something we need to look at. I know Issa recently, in the last couple of years, has limited the amount of events that the athletes
at least Chris Taylor, we could say Chris Taylor has matriculated. Look at how many of our sprinters.
What I'm saying, he's 21, so.
But look, all right, so let's go back to people like Michael O'Hara. Michael O'Hara is older than Christopher Taylor. We have not seen O'Hara.
Yeah, man. Ramon Mackenzie. This is the next one. But what I'm saying, you're right. Remember that people forget this. Like Ramon Mackenzie, Javon Mattison, Michael O'Hara, all these guys in their last year.
What is our friend from Bridgeport name again? Who he actually had a mishap in the 100-meter this year. His name is
it's not Minzy.
No man, not Minzy, man.
I tell you his name.
Yeah, but we are looking for those. We are looking for those crapper athletes.
So follow what I'm saying. So here's what I'm saying, though. Yeah. I am saying that those guys that I mentioned, the one from Casey, Javon Mattison, Michael O'Hara, Ramon Mackenzie.
Batman. I think Batman has probably given up the sports now. He was a little ahead of those guys.
All right, so
he's probably Batman is probably farther than 30 now.
No man, hear the point that I'm making. All of these guys, they're final year at champs. They all run injured.
Yeah.
All of them. Those 4 guys, their final year in champs, they run injured. Here's the difference with Sachin Dennis. Sachin Dennis missed champs because he was injured.
Okay.
And I think sometimes some of these, and one of these weeks we're going to need to talk to Dr. Paul Wright about this, because I think it is part of the thing that plague our male athletes in particular. Like I felt like if Bolt went to a KC, his career would have taken a different path. Because
possibly
because they are trying to win champs, so he's going to be involved.
The work would have been greater.
There you go. And I think that affects our male athletes, because I find that how many schools on the female side try to win champs? How many schools really on the female side? Hydel recently, St. Diego, and Edwin Allen.
Yeah. And in past times, Veer
in past times. So realistically, the girls are more likely, if they are injured, like people take more care of girls when it comes down to injured than boys, generally. Even when you're playing football at the schoolboy level, if a boy is injured, you try to patch him up and make him play. When a girl is injured, she sits out. And I'm wondering.
For me, though, man, there's an addition, because as I said, I think hunger, and Bolt spoke in some recent interviews that he had, where he spoke of athletes saying that they're rich, and we have young athletes coming through purporting to be rich, and not showing the hunger and the desire that is required for success. O'Hara has been, we knew of O'Hara coming off injury. Going to races. Glenn Mills spoke to that.
Seemed like we lost Pioneer for a bit, but people, that's a very interesting question that we need to ask and discuss from a medical perspective, right? Should we really look at the workload of our male athletes at the high school level, and we do that, especially the highly talented ones, to see if we can limit their workload so that they can transition to the senior level with less injuries. Let's re-invite Pioneer. Go ahead, Pioneer. You're making a point. So
Yeah,
go
man.
ahead and
I'm
finish up.
saying the point you're making about the workload, is a valid point. And Chris Taylor is one of such athletes that you would consider to be overworked. But I'm saying he left Jamaica and he went overseas. I think his sojourn overseas fueled his desire. We are finding that the athletes that have stayed home, and this is just, I'm basing this based on the interview that I saw from Bolt and what he had to say on the subject. The athletes that stay home, because these athletes would have gotten contracts coming out of high school. They would have gotten a little money, being able to rent fancy apartments, buy a nice vehicle. I think that has quenched their hunger and their desire for success in the sport. The same, you wouldn't say the same for the ladies. And this, you could argue that the distraction for male athletes are greater than the distraction for females. And I'm not saying that female athletes don't have distractions, but it is showing that the distraction for the male athletes. For example, when Bull made a comment that Michael O'Hara told him he was rich. This is a man who has never made a team, a senior team, saying to the greatest male athlete of all time that he's rich. You understand what I said? That shows a lack of hunger and a lack of desire to take things to the next level. And I think that has affected a lot of our young male athletes coming out of high school, getting into money too early. Because you don't want to stop a man and his money. But I think there needs to be some amount of coaching and mentoring to help these athletes to evolve from and to matriculate from the high school ranks, coming through those few early years, because there's difficulty making that transition.
You're talking about Javier Bell? Was it Javier
Bell? No, man, not Bell, man. Bulky sprinter, Bridgeport. He had the mishap, I'm gonna remember the name.
Man, go ahead. I will remember his name. Don't worry.
Yeah, man. I'm saying, man, we need to start seeing some of the promise. Some of these promising athletes matriculated. Jamaica is the sprint capital of the world. It's kind of embarrassing to not have a man in the 100-meter finals. It's embarrassing, and luckily we got one in the 200-meter finals. Had no medals in the 100 and 200 meter. This is an event that Usain Bolt has doubled for the last 3 Olympic Games. We would have been expecting so.
Jazeel
Murphy is the athlete I'm speaking of.
Okay.
All right. So we expect to see people like Murphy is still not the youngest. He's not a youngster by any means. I think he might be in his mid-20s, going on to late 20s now, but still has time. We have not seen a lot from him, so he still should have something in the tank. Whatever injuries he would have had coming out of high school should have healed by now. And we should be. I think he had something for us at the national trial. He had a mishap, but I'm hoping that this Olympic Games and the upcoming championships, back-to-back years of championships, will fuel some desire in these athletes to put in the work. And we'll start to see some of them coming on the world stage and doing something on the world stage. Jamaica needs a resurgence in its male sprinting right now.
You know what I want to see as well is I think we need to we can always focus on, we are going to produce fast athletes, right? There is something about Jamaica, about our school system, about where we are, that we're always going to produce persons who can compete at the international level between the 100 to the 400. I think we need to see more of an expansion into other sporting disciplines, where we should not have high jump, for example, and have no competitors, right? I think we have to get to that place. We shouldn't have shot put and we have no male competitors in the shot put. I think Odin Richards was the first. Yeah, but that's
but one. I think that is happening during the mornings, because when you look at, I think we have big. There was a time when we were just purely a track nation.
Listen, people say that, but we have always had James Beckford jumping long time. We have Trisha K. Stevens doing long jump and triple jump long time. So these are
Yeah,
not
but
new things.
no, but what we had in those days, man, is we had like one outstanding male jumper. We had one outstanding female jumper. There was Trisha K. Smith, yes, and there was James
Yeah.
Beckford, but there was nobody else. Now we are seeing people like we are participating in the female discus. We are in the female shot put. That
No man, I agree
that
with that. You know, that's
we
why
have
that
I think we are slowly expanding. I will agree with you that maybe some of our sprinters need to start jumping. We might need to start, but we have people like we had two ladies in the triple jump. Ricky too was a genuine medal contender. So I don't think there has ever been a time in Jamaica's history that we have been more of a track and field nation than we are now. In the field event, we are contending in maybe 4 of 6. In the jumps, we are contending in 3 or 4 jumps, male and female. So I think we are getting there. I think we have people who are going out into the colleges, and then I think we have outstanding. We have Julian Robinson, who is an outstanding throwing coach, who is helping to develop a lot of our throwers. We had a finalist in the discus for ladies for the first time. So I think we are getting there. Maybe we need to start going out further, maybe into the javelin and the hammer
let me
throw.
tell you what we need to start
We'll
doing.
get there eventually, I think. But
And
I think we are expanding.
I am sure a lot of people gonna disagree with me. But here's what I think. I think in the United States of America, Jamaica can find persons competing at a level higher than our persons born in Jamaica in some of these events that could represent Jamaica.
Namely, like which event?
No,
Like which
no,
event?
like we can find male and female high jumpers in the collegiate thing that maybe them grandmother come from Jamaica and them great grand that they could be approached.
Our high jumpers are on the cusp, you know. We
No,
haven't made.
no,
I don't think we have made the strides in the high jump. And
no.
I
So I'm
think
giving you no. What I'm saying
people
is
are,
that
come on.
finally,
Remember we had Jeremy and Mason, you know, who
yeah,
left
man,
and
I'm going
went.
to Great Britain. Yeah, man. So follow me.
All right, but I'm
Again, we
saying our
talk.
high jumpers. Yeah,
No,
what
but
am
I
I?
think you're
Our high
missing. No,
jumpers.
but you're missing the point I'm making.
I'm
Because the
getting a
point.
point.
All right, go
You're
ahead.
just saying that we probably could go for expatriates. Similarly, we'll go for people to play football. But I'm saying we're not seeing these people. Our high jumpers, when they make it to the college circuit in America, have been fairly competitive. They haven't been world beaters, but they have been
All right.
competitive.
So
I
Pioneer,
think
what you
we
do?
are on the
That's what I'm saying.
cusp.
You're not no, man. What I'm saying is that you're not
Yeah,
understand the point. I think the point you and I are arguing. I'm not talking about whether or not we have athletes who can do the events, whether they are on the cusp or not.
yeah.
I am saying when it comes on to global world events, when we have a national trials and we don't have persons who meet the Olympic standards to go and do the high jump, do we try to find out if anyone on the collegiate scene has Jamaican connections that if approached they would represent Jamaica? So we are making 2 different points. That is what
Yeah, but you'd have to identify these persons. You'd have to identify these persons, man.
That is what. But here's what I'm saying though. When Jamaica wants footballers, all right, there are people who will say, listen, you know that this man, him look like him, in black, as an example. Listen to him name Omar Thompson, as an example. Let me just ask if he has, because with a name like that, it is possible. All I'm saying is that when you watch the collegiate, maybe that is something that I'm suggesting that what we can do to have a more wholesome participation. Because I don't know, maybe if Gabby Thomas was approached 3 years ago, she could have run for Jamaica at Carifta.
Yeah, but we're not missing anything. We're not missing anything from Gabby Thomas. But man, the only thing that could validate your point, you know, is if we would be seeing athletes on the collegiate level who are jumping at world standards. And I don't think in America, I think we are such a track and field powerhouse that anybody who would not, if there was such an athlete that you mentioned, for example, Alisa Proud, the lady who contested the 1500 meter for us now and has contested the 3000 steeplechase in the past, didn't grow up in Jamaica. She grew up in the States, but had Jamaican lines and roots, and figured that, listen, I might not be able to make this the US team, but I'm going to run for my native land, Jamaica. So if there is anybody of that kind of who has Jamaican lineage or Jamaican linkage that way, I'm sure if they met standard, Brianna Williams didn't necessarily grow up in Jamaica, but chose to come and sprint for Jamaica. And we have seen athletes in the past. There have been some like hurdlers. A few of the names slip me now, but there have been hurdlers like 400 hurdlers who have tried making our Olympic team, who are based in the US. So if you're high jumpers in college and you realize
what I'm saying is that you
there's
miss.
a
All
possibility
I'm
that they
saying,
could
this
make
is
the
why.
Jamaican team.
This is why I'm saying you're missing the point. I know you say you get it, but you're missing the point because I just use an event. I'm not saying that event alone. Let me say it again.
Yeah.
When we have our national trials,
Mm-hmm.
if we are going to the Olympics, if we have nobody to do shot put, do we go? All I'm asking is, do we check? If we have nobody for doing high jump, do we check? If we have nobody for doing 1500, do we check the collegiate scene in the States to see if there's anyone who may have Jamaican connection? Sometimes, all I'm saying is that, Pioneer, sometimes the people don't even check that because they don't think it is possible. There are some who know and will come. It is something that we can do. Because what you're saying is that if they are good and they're at that standard, they will come. It is not necessarily so. Some people need to be approached.
And I think you're mixing up the dynamics. I think what you're doing, man, you're mixing the dynamics of what obtains in football with track and field. And I'm saying to you that Jamaica is I think we finished maybe fourth on the medal standing for track and field. We are such a track and field powerhouse that if there was any athlete in the field events that had Jamaican connection or Jamaican ties, that think that they could make a Jamaican team, we would definitely be seeing those
Pioneer, I am saying that there are persons, Pioneer.
No, but we wouldn't need to check more. We wouldn't need to be checking. Nothing at the same we will go about seeking for footballers.
Pioneer.
All right, and we are close.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
All right, man, until you can identify one or two such athletes, then I am objecting or defying.
So you're saying that.
I disagree with it.
You're saying that you don't believe in, let's look at in professional sports in America. You don't believe that there's nobody in professional sports in America who plays professional sport, who may not represent Jamaica, that could possibly have connection to Jamaica?
We're sticking to track and field.
All right, so let's keep the track
and field. Not
professional
sport.
All right. So
not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. And Yara, you mentioned Gabby Thomas. I didn't know you advised me that Gabby Thomas has Jamaican roots.
Her father. All right, let me ask you something.
And I'm saying to you now.
All right, let me ask you something.
Hold on, man. Yeah.
Did you know that?
Hold on, I'm gonna say something. Hold on, give me a second.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
No,
all right, hold on. I'm saying to you, Gabby Thomas. All right, if Gabby Thomas, for example, look, remember the mornings, understand this. We had VCB, we had Shelley and Fraser Price, we had Kieran Stewart, we had Ilian Thompson, the double reigning sprint champion. If Gabby Thomas, for example, looked at the US team and looked at the Jamaican team, her chances of making the Jamaican team would have been slimmer.
You're missing the point.
Than making the US team.
Listen, we're not going anywhere with this. What I'm saying.
Man, I understand but I'm saying to you, I think you're taking the dynamics.
No, man, you're not.
Go ahead.
Listen, all right, we're going to change the
Go ahead.
So when I call a name,
yeah,
you make that
the
situation when the name is, follow me. Just follow me. It's just an example. I said to you, maybe if Gabby Thomas was approached to go to Carifta at age 14, she could have gone. Or 15, she could have gone. I'm not saying that the Jamaican administration knows that. What I'm saying to you, there are other persons know. For example, I know somebody in America who is an athlete. Right? And they have Jamaican connection.
All right.
But question watch this now. They did not know that they could until I told their parents. So they are making an effort to do that now. And I believe that there are others like that.
So you know what to do, you know what to do with the first question you'd have to ask, man. All right. So you spoke of Gabby Thomas, and I'm not holding on to the name. You mentioned Gabby Thomas. So I'm just using the Gabby Thomas name now as an example.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, you said if Gabby Thomas at 14 could
50.
run at character, the question would now be
was approach.
Was approach. I'm saying to you now, the question would be, was Gabby Thomas at 14 or performing the sprinters we had at 14 in Jamaica at that time? Exactly. Brianna Williams. Hold on a minute. Brianna Williams.
Exactly. You're right. Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to so Brianna Williams was out. Good.
No, man. Yeah,
good.
Man, what I'm saying to you, you're right.
Yeah.
I am saying that we did not know though. You understand my
point? I didn't know. You're informing me right now that Gabby Thomas is father is Jamaica.
All right, let me give you an example. All right, people talk about Brianna Williams. Brianna Williams did not come and run for Jamaica because of anybody in Jamaica speaking to them. It was her parents who were adamant that she represent Jamaica. So watch this. Because the Americans wanted her to represent America from the junior level. So if it wasn't for her parents, then she would have represented America.
Yeah. I understand the point, but
all I'm saying is that we should have the sort of mechanism, and I'm not saying for the sprints, for certain disciplines, because even with
the high jumps and the field event,
even with the diver that represent Jamaica, he was not approached by the Jamaica administration. Too often, it is the people who have to contact us because we don't look outside of our locally born people to see, could there be this person in this place or this place? Listen, we would love to field a person in let me see, in the javelin. Is there anybody doing javelin who is born in the United States? But I'm just saying, do we do that? That's all I'm saying, because it's not something. Do we have somebody who is in Italy who they probably have relative in Jamaica and they have connection to the people who own Evitas, who is very good at pole vault? I don't think
I throw the hammer.
There are certain events that we don't do in Jamaica that I don't think we try to find. We just assume that we're a sprint nation. This is what we focus on. When if people know that,
for events, all right. So in track and field, maybe the only two events. As I said, we are on the cusp in the high jump. So maybe the only two events that your idea would hold true for would be the javelin and the pole vault, because we don't do either events on a competitive level.
We don't do the hammer either. We just shot put and discuss.
No, that's it. That's I said the javelin and the hammer. The javelin, the hammer.
I don't
javelin, the hammer. And the
I don't remember if girls don't do
pole vault.
Girls don't do pole vault at champs. I can't remember girls doing pole vault in Jamaica. It's just boys.
No, girls don't do pole vault. And we only do it at but I think we'll get there still, no man. All right, I remember the days when hurdles used to only be run at a senior level. It's on the girls' side used to be class 2 and 1. Now we have class 4 girls running hurdles. So it is taking a time for us to get, as I said, coaching. I think coaching is where we can expand. I think where I would go right now, and that this is probably an argument I've made. Where I would go right now, man, is see if we can find anybody out in the world with Jamaican connection that will be interested in coming to Jamaica and coaching at a junior level these events. So coaching javelin at a junior level, coaching
I can't tell when I think I've heard about javelin. Let me tell you when I think I've heard about javelin. All right, and it's the same problem as a lot of schools have with discus, because of how those events are. It is those two events in particular are very dangerous to
you need space
in this in the school system. So a lot of schools, I think, because there was some consideration for the javelin, but just because of how that event is, because discus is very hard to coach in Jamaica, because when if you go to a typical training day, you have all the athletes. It's not like you have a day for your throwers out there. You have your high jumpers, your sprinters, your everybody. I think there was even an incident where someone was hit by a shot put at one of the schools previously.
It's changing gradually now though. I think we're having throwing meets in Jamaica now. We're having like pre-champs throwing meets in Jamaica. So we are getting there, maybe not as quickly as we would desire. But I think, as I said, for me, when I look at it, I think we are evolving right now into truly becoming a track and field nation. There was a time when we had just a sprinkling of field eventers, and I think we have expanded in the last 5 years, or maybe the last cycle of Olympics, or maybe about 6 or 7 championships. We have evolved into becoming, little by little, more diverse as a track and field nation.
Yeah, well, that I'll agree with. But one of the things I'll say as well is I am wondering if when we have these meets, like for certain events, we need a neutral coach. Why I say that is the 4x4 relay for men. I the makeup of that team. I'm wondering if maybe if we had a coach that the athletes don't like, none of the athletes have like my coach is not the really a coach.
I understand. You can speak to specifically. You can speak to specifically. Maurice Wilson, Demis Gay.
Yeah, but go ahead, yeah.
No, we can get to it. No, we get to it. Because for me personally, I don't think Demis Gay was one of our stronger legs in the heats. I don't think he earned his place to be in the finals. Persons might say it's because Maurice Wilson is the relay coach, or he's in charge of the relay team, while Demis Gay, being his athlete, Maurice Wilson being Demis Gay's coach, was included. Well, we can't say it with certainty, but for me, Bartley would have been the better candidate to put in the relay. We could have shifted up. I don't know if it would have got a medal.
What about the man who won the national trials?
Sean Bailey was a little disappointing in the mixed relays, but Bartley ran 3 legs, 2 in the mixed relays and 1 in the heats, and he was very impressive in all 3. I can't see why would you choose. If you ask me, I think Bartley was our most impressive relay, 400-meter relay runner at the Olympics. Now, why would you choose to leave out your most impressive runner in the finals of the 4x4? That befuddles my mind. I don't know how you could do that. Unless there could have been an argument made that he might have been tired, he might have had tired legs, probably expressed that to the coaching staff. I don't know if that was the case. But Demis Gay for me was weak in the heats and was even more disappointing in the finals. I don't think he earned this place, and he might have cost us possibly contending for the brands. I won't say a certain brands, but we'd have been in better we'd been closer contention for that bronze medal in the 4x4. I agree with you. On that point, man. And going to the relays now, I'm somewhat disappointed. Very happy for the gold medal for the ladies 4x1. But disappointed in the fact that we didn't get the world record. I think there was an order that I have been suggesting ever since we had our national trials. I think we flipped around the order. I think they put Shelley on the 3rd leg and Ilian on the 2nd. I don't think we utilized the zones properly. I think Brianna ran too much. I think Brianna ran maybe 105 meters on that first leg. Why would you have Brianna, a 10-9 runner, running 105 meter, passing to Ilian, who's a 10-6 runner? The zone could have been utilized better. I think Ilian should have picked up that stick a little deeper. Ran a longer leg, even if they were going to run it that way. For me, I think Shelley should have run the backstretch first. Saying we heard Shelley speaking in the post-race interview of being nervous because since 2007, as an alternate in 2007, she ran the curve. That was when she didn't have an individual event. But since 2008, when Shelley has broken on the scene, she has run every other leg except the curve. I don't know why in this Olympic finals, in a big final that we are trying to go for a gold medal and a world record, you would put an athlete in an unfamiliar and an unfamiliar leg. That was disappointing for me. I think that cost us the world record. I would have switched around the order. Ilian running this curve where she's more comfortable and Shelly running the back stretch that she has run more times than often.
Here's my
We heard,
reason. I don't know
yeah.
if this makes sense. All right. Is it that because I hear Shelly talking about how she would receive the button? Is it that Brianna being short and Elaine probably because how was the Elaine hand was? It was high up. It made a button change between a shorter person to a taller person easier, and then from the taller Elaine to the shorter Shelly to the taller Sharika. Could it be that what they were trying to avoid is Elaine having to pass to Sharika because of their height, and that may be more difficult. So they wanted short to tall to kind of a thing to kind of get that. That's the only reason.
I know that.
Okay.
I can dismiss that argument with the fact that Janelle Smith is taller than Ilian. And Shelly passed the button in 2019 to Janelle Smith. Smooth pass. We ran a national record that time. Well, not the national record. We ran the second fastest time we have ever run as a team with a weakened team of Natalia White to Shelly to Janelle Smith to Sherika Jackson. All right. All we should have done on that team, we should have we slip out Natalia White, put in Brianna Williams, faster runner, slip out Janelle Smith, slip in Ilian Thompson, 10-6, 10-6-1. I don't think we even heard of Shelly's Ilian and not Ilian, Sharika and Shelly saying that they had issues in the back right before the event in Shelly getting the pass to Sharika. And that is the reason why Sharika basically held up and didn't move when Shelly hit the marker. And I think that cost us the world record. That is disappointing.
I am what all I'm saying though is that I agree with you that would have been a better order. But for some reason, I think in the practice, when they were doing this, I think they probably had it that order that you had, but it wasn't working out. So then I
think the decision, man, would have been influenced by the same concept of using your fastest runner to run the longest leg. But how it was executed didn't give Elaine the longest leg to run.
Okay.
If you notice, there was a flag that went up. That flag went up on the back stretch because of how close to the end of the zone the pass from Brianna Williams went to Elaine.
And the USA pass was close to the zone as well. Because
but our pass was further away from the zone. When you look at it, we made that pass furthest up the back stretch. And I think
the camera angle couldn't pick it up.
No, man, but when you look at it, even with the eye from the TV view, you could see that. Okay. And I'm saying, man, the idea of using your fastest runner and the longest leg, if you're going to execute that, if you're going to use that, then what you need to do is ensure that you use the zone early. So Brianna Williams being a 10-9 runner, you want her to run 95 meters and 90 meters. All right, so the zone is 30 meters, 15 minutes back, 15 meters back, 15 meters forward. So you can pass as early as 85 meters, but you wouldn't use 85 meters. So if you could get a 5-meter running start, so that person only runs 90 meters, and you get your fastest runner now to run 105 meters or 110 meters, passing late to the next person, then you would have maximized. And that is exactly how, if you go back to the 2019 relay, that is exactly what Shelly did. She received early from Natalia White and passed over late to Janelle Smith. And that is why we did so well in spite of a weakened team. Now, as I said, I think there was a lot of nervousness in this and a lot of questioning. I cannot see any reason why Shelly should not have run the backstretch. Elaine could have even run a long leg on the curve also, because she could have received early from Shelly and passed and handed off late to Sharika. So Elaine being a 10-6-1 runner, you'd have given her a long curve to run also.
Here's the good news. I think we can still get the world record at the
next year.
And because
if everybody's in good shape.
If everybody's in good shape, because they have done this before, I think it prepares them better. So we'll see. But did you
we need a relay camp. We need a relay camp.
But it was hard. A lot of people talking about other nations. Jamaica could not have a camp. There's a pandemic. They there were several issues. We couldn't even have. We were wondering if we were going to have a national trial. So how were we going to have a relay camp?
But I mean, after the national trial, I mean, everybody headed after Europe. I think that made it a little
Yeah,
difficult.
it was very
So,
difficult.
but I'm thinking that next year, considering that the World Championships is in our part of the world, we should, if everybody remains healthy, we should at least, that should be one of our goals next year, getting that 4x1 women's world record. We have had years where Jamaica has had dominant sprinters on the female side, and we have since 2004 when I think we had maybe at the weakest team, but of all the teams since 2004 to now, I think the 2004 team you could argue was the weakest team. They won gold. We had 3 Olympics where we won 2 silvers and dropped the button one time, and then this Olympics when we have this overwhelming foot speed, when I think we should have gotten the record, and we missed it. As I said, we can take some comfort in the fact that the World Championships is next year, and we should expect that Elaine will be still in this great form, barring injury. Shelley is going for her last hurrah next year. Sherika is just coming into her own as a sprinter, and Brianna
is going to get faster.
19-year-old emerging sprinter and should get faster. And we have other ladies coming up to. So if, in case one of these ladies should not be there, we're expecting that there should be some good replacement. So we can take comfort in that. But I think our dominance on the female side, we need to put the icing on the cake by breaking the 4x1 women's world record.
All right, we have around 5 minutes to go. So what you think about the Hunter Parchment incident? You know the story that he shared?
Heartwarming.
Yeah, I think
it is the best. It is what we call the best of human nature. It is something that warms the heart when you look at it.
So let me just tell, for those of you who probably watching and you don't know, so Hunter Parchment, right, is getting ready to go to the finals. He goes on a bus, and the bus he thinks is going to take him to the track and field stadium. It takes him to where the aqueduct, I think he calls it, where the swimming and diving and roaring. He goes to the wrong place. They are suggesting to him that here's what you need to do. You need to go back to the village, and then you take a bus from the village to go to the track and field stadium. If he did that, he would have been late. So he was like, what am I going to do? Didn't have any money, but he spoke to one of the ladies at the aqueduct who gave him money to get on a bus to get to the stadium.
Taxi. Gave him money to take a taxi to the stadium. Gave him instructions also. Gave him instructions as to how to get to the stadium. To take the taxi to get to the stadium.
Right. And so he takes the taxi, gets to the stadium in time to do the final.
The semifinals.
Semifinals, right. Yeah. Of course, wins the medal. When all of that is done, he goes back at the end of the Olympics after his gold medal stuff, goes to the lady, thank the lady, gave her a Jamaican shirt, gives her back the money.
And gives her the medal to hold to say, listen, this is what I want because of your help. That is, as Mr. Virgin, it is heartwarming. It speaks to the best of human nature. And stories like this only, just help to elevate the human spirit to a next level.
Yeah. What I also like, Pioneer, is that when the relay team were receiving their medals, right after the anthem, you know what they played next? One Love, One Heart.
Bob Marley.
The Bob Marley. And you know what was
we have seen that for gold. Yeah.
But what was funny is that all the British athletes, because they came third,
were dancing.
Yeah. All African American, and then the US athletes, I think the only, I would say, white one was Prandini. But it was like this 12 athletes and 11 are African American or black persons. One Love playing all of it. I thought those.
We need more moments like this in world sports. as I said, for me, and I'm gonna say this in closing, Wanins. We could even go wider than the Olympics, but I think we have touched on most of it. But for me, track and field is on the ascent. I like what will be happening. This Shaka Richardson drama that brought some new eyes to track and field. So we'll be getting some more visibility. The fact that the World Championship is going to be in Eugene next year, it's going to be an American side, will also mean more visibility, more coverage, more interest. All right, and I think track and field is on
More
the ascent now.
Jamaicans attending.
More Jamaicans attending, obviously more US people being interested, more US fans attending also. I think people like, I think, as I said, there are those duels we speak about, the Warhome Benjamin duel, the Sidney McLaughlin, Dalila Mohammed duel, being American. A race that I'm fitting to see, Bridget, and I'd love to see it, even on the Diamond League circuit. I'd like to see him, I think, more race Shanae Miller at 400 meters. I think that would be a mouth-watering prospect of a clash. I think more is gonna be one of the big things in track and field in the world. People like that coming to the fore at that level, at this age, 19-year-old, like how Sidney McLaughlin came into the sport at 16, and I think more coming in at 19, and Arian Knighton coming in at 17, performing at a high level. It only speaks to greater things, greater visibility, greater interest in track and field, and that will argue well for our Jamaican athletes too, because right now you could argue that Elaine Thompson, doing what she did in the Olympics, is now a global sporting star. So many eyes around the 100 meters because of the whole Shakara Richardson thing, and Elaine going there to do what she do, breaking a Flojo record. Now I'm watching a lot of American vlogs where her name is being mentioned, and people are knowing the name Elaine Thompson and Shelly and Fraser Price. So track and field is ascending again, and a lot of people felt like it would have gone into the doldrums after Usain Bolt. But I think this Olympic Games has done its part in helping track and field to be on the rise. And I'm looking forward to, as I said, with 4 back-to-back years of championship, I'm looking to track and field becoming that truly global sport that it is. When you talk about an Italian team that won the 4x1, an Italian athlete winning the 100-meter sprint on the male side, it just goes to widen the international appeal and the interest in track and field, and that can only mean great things for track and field and for our Jamaican athletes who are stars in the event and are prospective and upcoming stars in the event.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping that next week, we can speak with Dr. Paul Wright about athletes with this high testosterone level and how they fit into track and field going forward. I know Shelly and Fraser Price came out and spoke in defense of Mboa, I think her name is. And so it's an interesting discussion to be had to see what will happen to those athletes who sat out this Olympic because of the demand for them to do something that they say is natural. That's an interesting debate going into.
I was gonna leave it, Mannings, until you invited Dr. Paul.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's a very interesting, especially with this young lady. If she keeps on improving and this
not just one, both she and Marceline.
Right. Yeah, because
you know what is interesting, Manning? So they could contest the 200 meters, but they couldn't run the 4x4.
Like those that there you go. Yeah, you understand me? Will there be a case? No. Will there be any law? Like, what if the lawyer, some of these athletes says, like, what proof do you have that we can only run in this event? Where's the scientific data and proof? Or is it just a rule? Or like all of these things are stuff that I want to look forward to. Maybe not for this World Championship, but certainly the one in 2022, because they have Costa Semenya, who a lot of the good 800 meters runners were not at the Olympics, at least 2 of them. And you have, what's her name in the 400 meters, who is also, right, I have, what's her name, 400 meter athlete who was banned because of missing whereabouts violation. She was a champion.
Yeah, that's NASA.
Yeah. Will she be
World
coming?
champion. Yeah.
How long is her suspension? When will she be
She got
coming
a
back?
she got a 2-year ban. She should be back.
In
I think she should be back
2023.
for 2023 World Championships.
There you go. So will that
Uh,
change
you,
the
I'm
sport?
looking at something. I'm looking
But
at something, man.
we don't want
Going
to
back to
get
this.
in. Okay, okay, because we don't want to get into it because we up on the time, you know. So, but go ahead.
All right, but let me say this. I can fire this parting shot. I have seen, and I'm getting to this high testosterone level, and I'm thinking that, in fairness, I used to look at 3 athletes in the 800 meter. Naim Saba from Burundi,
Caster
Caster
Semenya.
Semenya from South Africa, and one boy from Kenya, and they looked masculine running against these females. But I've seen other athletes in throwing events, and I want to point to somebody, an American athlete, that I've always thought had masculine features. Now I might be a little controversial here, but Brittany Reese, the long jumper,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
always
yeah,
looked
yeah,
at her with
yeah.
a little bit of masculinity about her. And we have never heard her testosterone level being called into question. I'm wondering if this is just an African thing. But what World Athletics has on its hand now is a dilemma. And I am suggesting to them that they use all their medical expertise and their medical people to ascertain what is an acceptable testosterone level for all female athletes across the board. Throwers, jumpers, runners. It needs to be a universally accepted standard. If you're a female athlete in track and field and your testosterone level is above this, you cannot perform. It doesn't matter which country you're coming from. It doesn't matter which event you're participating in. This is the acceptable level of testosterone. And if you're not at that below that level, you cannot perform, hands down. This constant shifting of the goalpost to include this event, taking out that event, it is going to land them in further trouble. It's going to be embarrassing for World Athletics. And they need to fix it. They need to fix it now. They need to fix it fast. It's going to be eggs on their faces if they allow this situation to continue.
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, man. All right, so Pioneer, listen, good show. Let's see if we can get Dr. Paul Wright, your good friend, on next week to kind of discuss some of these things.
Definitely. I've spoken to Dr. Paul. He has agreed to come on. We just need to get him. We just need to agree a time with him, and
Yeah,
he
man.
should be on.
We just set up the time and see, and then we can let everybody know when he's coming on so they can chime in and ask the question. But thanks for the time again, friend. I know there's a lot more we need to discuss with the Olympics.
To the viewers, like the videos.
Yeah, man. Subscribe to the channel, man.
I think I Am Sure Sports is doing a wonderful job in highlighting sports in Jamaica and international sports. I've seen lesser platforms that are getting more viewership. I think people need to, share the links, share the I Am Sure links, spread the word, and let people know that there's a channel that has credible sporting discussion, solid sporting discussion, and so we can increase the subscription and increase the viewership, and continue the I Am Sure.
Yeah, man. Respect and thanks to you because you're doing a lot of things. I know we have a lot more. And then I want to remind the people that G Star is coming back next week to finish up his NBA trade, all of the trade deals that are going on, free agency. He was here last week. He's coming back next week to go through the rest of the team. So
I think I might join that podcast.
Yes. So G Star will be back doing that, full of his stats and looking at all the teams and stuff. Did a wonderful job. So again, thanks to everyone. Thanks again, Pioneer. Always appreciate your vast knowledge, and the way you look at things, your views and things, and your support for the channel. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. Those who will watch afterwards. Much love and respect. Stay safe and join us again next week. We have several videos. We're going to be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week, just doing different things right throughout the week. So make sure you stay tuned to what is happening, and I Am Sure Sports. Have a blessed evening until we meet again. All right, blessings, Pioneer.